I hope that I can do this one and the next one before I get walked in on, is what it actually is. Because, you know, I have the house to myself for only so much longer. So, just to reiterate what I said in the last one, they love to point fingers of blame. They will blame individual people, but never companies, governments, religions, science, or anyone in authority or in charge. Instead, they always blame individual people, people on the bottom, never anyone in charge. They always blame individual people on the bottom, even going so far as to make it look like it was one person's fault instead of, say, the corporation's fault or the government's fault or some religion's fault or science's fault or such as a church, etc. So there is that. The neighbors are really scary. They're not good either. So I wonder about them. So anyway, so for the next point, they are also big into denial. Denial, denial, denial. They use denial to cover themselves up and their actions. All right? So they really love stuff like, The Secret and Abraham Hicks and religion and, science, government. They absolutely love stuff like that. Okay, so I'm just going to read this. So they like stuff like The Secret and Abraham Hicks, and I just want to say what that is just know that something or someone must get up off their ass and give you whatever you're asking and meditating, praying, manifesting for, etc. Okay, so if you read the book The Secret, or if you know what manifesting is, or positive thinking, or the power of positive thinking, or Abraham Hicks or Abraham Hicksing it, what that is, I found out, is that something in the non-physical world has to get up off their butt and give you what you are looking for. You are not doing this yourself. Something, you manage to tap into some entity in the afterlife, whatever, in the spiritual world, non-physical world, in the fourth dimension is what it actually is, whatever you want to call it. You got something in the fourth dimension, in the non-physical world, to get up off its butt and give you what you are looking for, literally. So, and you can do that via prayer too. So if you're praying for something, and I put a vril, but it's not a vril, because vrils would never serve humans, but something must get up off its ass and give it to you, or just get it for you. You cannot get this stuff on your own. Humans, when it comes to manifesting and positive thinking and The Secret and prayers and stuff like that, humans are a slave race. If you are in a human body, you are a slave. The only exception to that is if you and if you're a vril or not. If you're an NPC or not. Plain and as simple as that. But if you're in a human body, you are a human, and humans are the slave race. We were made to be manipulated and not be able to manipulate. They have cut our spiritual powers. They have cut our fourth dimensional powers so that we are powerless and not able to do anything. The truth hurts, and this is the truth. Literally. And also, part of this is, human beings are able to be brainwashed very easily, but human beings are able to be hypnotized, literally. And they use that hypnotism, and I'm going to go completely off my notes here, but human beings, they are able to hypnotize human beings, and they have that glitch in us so that they can control us. Now, reptiles, there's such a thing as shapeshifters. They're not actually shifting their shape. They have tapped into and this is what ghosts do. This is what entities in the fourth dimension do. They tap into your brain, your mind, and they are able to get you to see what they want you to see. So, and the thing about these vril, these underground reptiles, they were walking around letting their skin, their skin, their face, everything, letting it be exposed and not covering up at all. But they were wearing like human clothing, but they weren't covering up their skin, their face, anything at all. And what they would do is they would hypnotize the people around them into thinking that they're seeing another human. Now, the only exception to that is that back in the analog period, when we had analog, cameras and film and everything, the underground reptiles were not able to fool film cameras, whether it be video, film, or, just the old analog, even Polaroids. They cannot fool that. But the one exception to that rule, and the reason they didn't like Polaroids when they first came out, is that you would get an instantaneous picture and be able to look at it. They would be exposed on those instantaneous pictures. Literally. They couldn't control it. So they ended up figuring out how to manipulate, because they ended up putting technology into those things too, especially now. You can't get your hands. You would have had to get your hands on some of the first original Polaroid cameras for it to actually be worthwhile. But the one trick that they would do is that no one had their own film developing studios at home. And they didn't like people having their own film developing studios at home, because people would capture these underground reptiles and other entities on these old analog film cameras, and they go, what the hell is that? Because the truth was captured. But if you have to send your film in, and everyone had to send their film into film developing companies and businesses and departments, especially anyone that worked in Hollywood, anyone that worked in, if you have to send your video film in, if you have to send in your camera film in, the still images in, then all they had to do was throw out the film, say that there was a glitch with the film, that the film could not be developed, literally, they would steal people's film, whether it be from their still image cameras or from their video cameras, and they would make sure that you would never get the film back. And it's because it exposed one of them on one frame, on one video camera film that had to be sent in to be processed. There was Super 8 and there was Super Max, and there was like 6mm film, 8mm film, 10mm film. There was film that had that consumers and prosumers could actually, it ended up getting to the point where you could actually have sound on the film here and there. That's what everyday people were able to get their hands on. But you had to send that film in to be developed, and they didn't want people being able to develop their own film. And so if you caught any entity or oddity on any of that film, they would throw it out, or they would cut it out. At times they would actually cut the film and cut it out and just take out that one frame, if they were on the nice side. More often than not, they would just throw out the whole film on you. But if you were high up or had friends in high places, then they would take out that one frame of film, literally. So if you want to catch a Vril, an NPC character on film, all you have to do is get an old analog camera and then develop the film yourself. Sadly and terribly, those chemicals don't exist anymore for everyday people. They have all the digital elements, all the, even old videotape, they have it controlled. They have it controlled. 110%. The only hybrid was the old VHS tapes, they weren't really messing with those. They were, and, certain things were able to be caught on them and able to be viewed, but not totally, and it was messed up. So, because it was magnetic, they're able to manipulate anything that's magnetic, and they're able to manipulate it from a distance. So I got to cut this because it's at the 10-minute mark. Darn.